Right after the 2024 NBA Finals concluded, I said we were about to go through that rough period in time where there's a handful of months with no NBA basketball. But that was a mistake by me because I forgot it is 2024 and we have the Paris Olympics this year. And basketball is a sport, an event in the Olympics. So we get to see our best stars go to Paris and compete for a gold medal. And there's so much to look forward to in this year's Olympics, not just with Team USA, but you have other NBA superstars going home and playing for their country. Guys like Nikola Jokic, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. Australia has plenty of NBA players. And then we get to Team USA. There's a bunch of great storylines. Stephen Curry and LeBron James, who battled each other for years in the NBA Finals, they're playing on the team for the first time in a competitive setting. You have Anthony Edwards and Kevin Durant. We see their little bond forming. But what I'm looking forward to the most is this tandem of Anthony Davis and Bam Adebayo. And I promise you guys, right before the Olympics started, when they flew out to Paris and we seen them linking up with each other, shaking hands, I text my little brother. I was like, man, I really hope there's a unit where Bam Adebayo and Anthony Davis is playing on the court at the same time. And Steve Kerr has shown us this tandem on the court at the same time, and it has been special. And my personal reason to why I want to see these two guys on the court alongside each other is what they bring on the defensive side of the ball. Bam Adebayo and Anthony Davis, they both play the 5 spot and they are both outstanding rim protectors, but they're two of the best overall defenders in all of the NBA when we take account of everything that goes on the defensive side of the ball. But we're going to jump into that a little bit later, how these guys can impact each other when they're playing alongside each other on the court. But I just want to talk about both of these guys individually because they're both so special. Starting with Bam Adebayo, who I think is one of the more underrated players in the NBA, especially what he does on the defensive side of the ball. I think it doesn't get talked about enough, and I don't know how. Him or Anthony Davis has not won a Defensive Player of the Year award, but I think as of right now, as it stands today, the best part of Bam Adebayo's game is what he can do on the defensive side of the ball. You can put him anywhere in any situation, any coverage, and he can do it at your 5 spot. If you need him to play the drop coverage and protect the rim, he can do that. If you need him to get up and hedge hard on smaller guards who are a threat to knock it down on the 3-point shot, he can do that and then recover and get back to that guy that's rolling to the rim. And then if you just need him to full-blown switch out on that perimeter, he can do that as well. He's active in the passing lanes. He gets steals on the ball and off the ball. He's just an outstanding defender, and he's the prototypical defensive center that you would want in today's NBA. And then offensively, I think he's severely underrated as well. And a fun fact about Bam Adebayo, Michael Beasley said this, who's supposed to be the king of one-on-ones, and this is according to his peers around players in the NBA. They said nobody has ever beaten Michael Beasley in a one-on-one. And Michael Beasley, I forgot which podcast he was on, and I'm paraphrasing here, but he said Bam Adebayo is a point guard trapped in a big's body, and he's the only player to ever beat Michael Beasley in a one-on-one. So that says a lot about his offensive game. But what we see from Bam Adebayo out on the court during the NBA season, he's an outstanding screen setter. He's outstanding rolling to the rim. He's very athletic. He's a lob threat. He's a threat to put somebody on the poster. He can finish around the rim with both hands, standing layups, driving layups. He can do it all when it comes to a finisher, but he's so skilled as an offensive player. He can step out and knock down those mid-range shots. He can put the basketball on the floor, and then also he's a really solid playmaker. He's really good at doing those dribble handoffs, setting that dribble handoff, and then immediately setting the screen for guys like Duncan Robinson, Tyler Hero, getting them easy 3-point shots, easy looks coming off the mid-range. And then he does a good job of faking a dribble handoff and into where he can do so many things because he's so skilled. He can drive the basketball, he can find a cutter, find a shooter. There's so many things Bam Adebayo can do on the offensive side of the ball. He's coming off a very solid season where he averaged 19 points per game to go along with 10 rebounds. And I think Bam Adebayo could be a player that could average 22, 23, 24 points per game if he's just a little bit more aggressive. That's the only thing I want Bam Adebayo to be, is more aggressive on the offensive side of the ball. And then we look at Anthony Davis. Anthony Davis is another generational player, another generational defender. Like we said not too long ago, it is a crime and it is a shame that he has not won a Defensive Player of the Year award yet. It's a crime because Anthony Davis, like we said, he's an outstanding rim protector. Nobody wants to go up on Anthony Davis, but the same thing I just said about Bam Adebayo defensively, it applies to Anthony Davis as well. He's another player where as your 5, as your center, or wherever you have him at the 4, you can ask him to play any coverage. He can play in the drop coverage and just stand around and nullify everything at the rim. If you need Anthony Davis to hedge, he can switch. He's an outstanding defender, and the only difference between him and Bam Adebayo is Anthony Davis is about 2 or 3 inches taller than Bam Adebayo. I think Bam is listed at like 6'8", 6'9", and Anthony Davis is listed at 6'10". So AD is a little bit taller, but the same things are there on the defensive side of the ball. Anthony Davis, offensively, he is a monster. Low post, one of the few low post players left in today's game, and he has a really skilled post up game. He has the finesse part in the post, and he also has the brute part of the post. He can overpower you, he can drop step you, dunk on you, he can also knock down the post fade. And I forgot to mention that about Bam Adebayo. He has tremendous footwork in the post as well, and every post move in the book, and so does Anthony Davis. So these two guys right here are supremely talented, and I was getting excited about these guys playing together because you look at it defensively, Bam Adebayo has never played the 4, so having Bam Adebayo out there with Anthony Davis, both of these guys, you have these 2 generational defenders. You can do, as Team USA, you can do so many things. You can have Anthony Davis guarding the team's worst shooter. You can have Bam Adebayo guarding the team's worst shooter, and they can alternate playing free safety because they're both outstanding rim protectors. And then you just have 2 guys. You have 2 guys that can also guard on the perimeter and rebound the basketball. So when I'm thinking, when these 2 guys are on the court, and we kind of saw a glimpse of how scary they could be together defensively when they matched up against Serbia, who has Nikola Jokic. I believe Jokic had 16 points on 19 shots, which is very uncharacteristic of him. We saw Steve Kerr put Bam Adebayo on Jokic and let Anthony Davis be that free safety, and AD had a block party. I think there was a crazy sequence where he got I can't remember now. He got a crazy amount of blocks in just the span of 1 minute. So you could do so many things with Bam Adebayo and Anthony Davis together on the defensive side of the ball. And then also they're so skilled offensively that you don't really have to worry about their lack of 3-point shooting. And not that they can't shoot the 3, it's just a part of the game. And it doesn't really mess up the spacing of Team USA because these guys are so skilled. They know how to they do this when they're playing with their NBA teams, but they know how to space the floor without being able to shoot a 3-point shot. Anthony Davis can knock down the mid-range, so can Bam Adebayo. Both these guys are really good at the dribble handoff, and guys don't know, like when you have a big doing the dribble handoff and the big is sagging off, that screen, and you got, and with Team USA, especially all the shooters that they have, that opposing big is not going to be able to just sag off and drop into the paint because you have Devin Booker, you have Stephen Curry coming off these threes. So the spacing is not going to be bad at all. And also another thing I've been seeing, and this has been really fun watching Bam Adebayo playing in a more fast-paced environment because he plays with the Miami Heat and they play super duper slow and they play in the half court a lot. So seeing Bam Adebayo get out on a fast break and play with guys that like to get up and down like LeBron James, Anthony Edwards, Anthony Davis, is very special because Bam is a good passer, and already I've seen him make some great passes to LeBron James, finding LeBron James on cuts, finding Anthony Edwards on cuts, finding shooters like Stephen Curry. So I just think when Anthony Davis and Bam Adebayo are out there, I think they're a better fit as a center for Team USA. I'm not saying they're a better player than Joel Embiid, because the game just flows a lot better when those 2 guys are out there because they have more of a skill set equipped for a fast-paced game, and that's what Team USA likes to do. We look at our teams over the last handful of Olympics, they like to get out and run because we're just the most athletic country. We have the best athletes in the world, so we use that to our advantage. And Joel Embiid, he is a monster, but he plays a more slow, methodical game, dumping him that ball down in the post and letting him go to work. That takes some time. But when you got Anthony Davis and Bam Adebayo out there, the ball is continuously moving, and it's a much more fast flowing game. So there's so many things that Anthony Davis and Bam Adebayo can do with each other. We seeing them like back in the old days when DeAndre Jordan and Blake Griffin, when those two guys used to be out on the court together, one thing they used to do is get that, it'd be a two-man game. One of those two guys setting the screen, and then the other one would be in the dunker position. They would get that ball, in the short roll, and it usually be Blake Griffin, and he'd throw that lob up to DeAndre Jordan, who's right there in the dunker spot. That's another action that I've seen Team USA go to. So there's so many things. That Bam Adebayo and Anthony Davis, they can bring to the game of basketball as a duo. So many different ways that they can impact the game. So I'm really hoping that we get to see them spend their time together on the court when the actual Olympics start, because I think they are so effective with each other and they cause a handful of problems. But that's what I want to talk about with you guys today. If you enjoyed, please leave a like, comment down below if you agree or disagree, and then subscribe for more weekly content. We do this all the time, man. And that's curtain.